That's it. Another another one of Gator's great videos. We changed the hours. Standard time, or I don't know what time there. We pushed ahead. I've resisted, you don't see it there, but I've resisted from putting my snow machine away. Not like some there that taken their blower off their tractor and they brought on some snow. I'm resisting, trying to help people so that we don't get no more of that snow and that spring comes. But as you can tell, I'm still wearing the hat, the winter hat, trying to stay warm. What we're going to talk about today has to do with thinking ahead when you have projects. Not procrastinating, but mostly to do with DIYers and do-it-yourself Joes that they don't want to hook up to the electrical utilities, and they're going to produce their own power, solar panels, generators, whatever. And we're gonna start with this. Is having when you build a place, okay, or when you're renovating and you tear the place apart, having some foresight. And okay, like, I'm not blaming no one on this, because even as an electrician, I built 8 different houses in my lifetime, and every time I've tried to have the foresight, more or less, to predict where I needed outlets and utility switches and some plugs, switch plugs, 3 ways, 4 ways. I've even put, okay, just a little side note, I built a camp once, okay, not the camp that I'm in now, and I had so many switches. When I came in the door, I had 4 banks of, was it 4 or 5? Anyways, at least 4 switches, but 4 banks. So there was so many switches coming in, and some of these lights from where the switches were, I couldn't see. So, and they were on a 3-way. So I put them in one way or the other, but like, let's say it's daytime and I'm leaving, well, I couldn't see which way. I would have had to put a pilot light on the plate and have a wire coming back to the switch to know how the light was doing. Okay, well, did I just turn it on or did I turn it off? But that's going way beyond. But the complete adverse of that is those that are doing a place, but they don't put enough. First of all, there's regulations, like regulations when you first come in a room. And I'm not up to the last blow by blow of different regs, but last time, I think it was, as you come in the room, you open the door, you measure from the door to the first plug. I think it was 5 feet. After that, every 12 feet. So you go around the room, and that's your minimum, okay, of outlets that you're supposed to have in a room. So, and, okay, then you figure the minimum is not what you have to do. The best thing, the best optic to have is to put the outlets where, like, if you can, the best situation, okay, if you're building a place, if you could picture where's my bed going to be, okay, and, okay, figure this one. Where's my bed going to be? Okay, I have a ceiling light. I have a light at the entrance. Well, okay, right at the bed, not at normal switch height, but lower. I'd want maybe a little rocker switch to turn that light on and off, because then I go to bed, I can turn it on or off. And then it would be nice on each side of the bed to have one, because the lady or the man can turn the light off and on. That's just like, it's just to give you an idea that if you plan ahead, you can give yourself some facilities. Give yourself some options. So, you know, the most expensive switch or the most expensive plug is the plug that you forgot to put and you need it. The switch you forgot to put and you need it once everything is done. That's the most expensive one, because I'm telling you this, I won't be the one doing it. You try and hire an electrician to do that, and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. You know how much a switch or a plug costs? It's just a matter of the amount of wire that you're going to use, the box, and the apparatus that you're going to have a plug or a switch on there. That's all it's going to, and your time if you're doing it yourself. Now we're going to switch on to something else. Like, there's a few of my friends in here, like Grampy's workshop, and he's doing his insulating his garage, but he's doing it right, because he has outlets in there, and he's insulating, he's doing a vapor barrier over that. He's got the plastic around his boxes to keep the north wind from blowing in the place, so he's not insulating for nothing. And it seems like he's got a decent amount of outlets, but he's got some electrical, I don't know if that he's an electrician or not, but he's got some electrical background in the industry that he was working in before. But I have other people that I've seen in there, and they have they decided they weren't gonna hook up to I forget how they call that. It's the DIYers that aren't hooked up to utilities, and the guy's got a few solar panels, and he's I don't know, he's, first of all, he put it on 12 volts, the battery system that he has. He's gonna find out, you crank that voltage up, and then you get the you know, like your controllers and everything is, eventually you'll get up either 48 volt or something like that, because that's the norms of the panels, you know, like, and all the equipment. Anyways, so he put in, first of all, when he built it, he didn't put no wiring at all. Okay, he's gonna finish this, insulated, did the backyard way of insulating. Well, we won't, I've already endeavored into that type of insulation, and now he's doing the electrical. But you know what he's doing? He's taking some old extension cord, and he's running that in the ceilings, and he's running his lights off of that, and those extension cords, they're, I don't know, 18 or 16 gauge wire, and he's putting that on DC on 12 volts. Well, okay, granted, I'll just give him one thing, is the newer LED lights don't draw as much as the older lights, but still, you put either 14 or 12, like, do it. You never know what. I'll tell you an instance. Okay, I had a camp. I was on a battery system. I had some solar, but hydro came along, and my way of thinking is, I'm an electrician. It would be a disgrace not to get hooked up to the hydro, so I got hooked up. But you know what? When I had the camp, and it was time before I did the insulation, before I did the drywall, I said, okay, it's time to wire. You wire it up. You don't bring in your stuff and start and do all the bedrooms or do the kitchen. You you do it by the way it should be done. There's when there's nothing in the way, there's no better time to wire up a place, okay? Nothing in the way. And it's not, okay, I'll tell you an instance, okay? Along probably 30, 35, 40 years ago, father-in-law was doing a job for one of his friends, and he said to me, he says, you want to wire the basement? I says, yeah, let me know when it's time. Well, you know what he did? He framed all the basement, he insulated, and he started putting the paneling. Then he tells me it's time to come and do my electrical. You know what I did? I don't know. I don't work like that. I says, you should have, after you installed the studs, you should have come to get me. I would have wired it up. So I don't do jobs like that. It's because when it's not time to do it, it's too late. And or when you bring in all the furniture, then you try to run the wires over and around the furniture. And I did jobs like that, okay? There's one in, anyways, I won't bring up the job. It was run by a guy, and the company I was working for was the job in Africa, okay? You know how we were wiring the rooms, me and my buddy? There was stacks of drywall, garbage, everything. At least 3 feet that tall, and it was spread, and we had to go in the ceilings with ladders, okay? You had to move stuff, but it took forever, eh? So what I did, I'll tell you what I did, is I took videos of this, say, on my camera, and when I got back, see, that was in Africa, when I got back to the shop, eh? I told my supervisor, I says, if you want to know why it took so long to do the job, I says, here, you take a look at this. I give him a stick there with all the videos on. I said, you take a look at this and you'll find out how come it took us so much time to do and why you're not making money with the electrical on this job, eh? It's because there's a time for everything, eh? And there's never a better time than before people move in the equipment, a clean place, okay? The studs are up, it's time to wire the place. Do it in the progress of things. Whether you do the electrical before the plumbing, I think the electrical should be done before the plumbing, but you ask the plumber and you do the plumbing. Mechanically, okay, on the big jobs and everything, usually the plumbing is done prior to the electrical. Electrical trade is always the latter one, but sometimes there's well, we won't get into that. But I thought I'd just say this because there's people, that they think like they'll do the easy stuff first, eh? The insulation, anybody can slap insulation anyhow, and then we'll do the electrical. Or I seen a guy, some of you will know who this guy is. He did his house, eh? And I had told him, I says, before you put insulation or before you start finishing the wall, you should run some wires, eh? No, I am not hooked up to hydro. You're gonna need lights. What are you gonna use? Friggin' what do you call those? The propane torch to light yourself. You know what he ended up doing? He ended up wiring the place from down in the basement. He's got chunks of scepter sticking up, a scepter pipe, okay? And he's got a scepter box stuck right on the wall, an unsightly thing. That's what he's got. The switches, he's got a pipe going up the wall, but its surface it's not even legal, okay? And he thinks just because he's not hooked up to hydro, he thinks he doesn't have to conform to the regulations. Well, he's wrong, because the code still applies on a 12-volt system. Anyways, it just people think before you finish your walls, before you move stuff in. Okay, so even if you think the code doesn't apply, it has to do with how much comfort you're going to have, and put in what you need when it's time, and then you won't have to put it in afterwards. If the place is already done, okay, and you come in and you want to install a water system, or for convenience, you know, little things, well, that's okay. But still, it should be taught of, and get the information. There's enough information on the YouTube to find out, like even if it's DC, 12 volts DC, there's information to get, like the size of wire to use. If you're going to wire up a light or a pump, don't use a chunk of leftover extension cord. Just because it works doesn't mean it's good. If you're drawing more than what the size of wire can carry, that wire will heat up. Because the wire's heating up, it's just like a heating element. It will use up some electricity, some of the amps that you got in your batteries, eh? So the size of wire counts, even if it's a DC system that you're running. Anyways, just to remind people that there's no better time than before it's moved in, okay? Before it starts to finish, because it takes a long time to finish something, and don't jump the gun and then have to do it over the finishing, because if it's done over the finishing, just like the guy I was telling you with the scepter pipe and the scepter outlets on the wall, that's a very unsightly thing. And he had the if you're stuck and that's where you are, okay, you're gonna put it in and get the convenience, and you're gonna deal with it. But if you can do it prior to that, before you finish the walls, ain't no better time. But anyways, okay, I don't want to repeat myself. Spring is coming, and I sure hope it gets here soon, eh? We see all this here. It's just waiting to head up to the camp. 48 bundles of shingles, eh? I forget now if I told you the story on the big deal I got, eh, on the shingles, eh? But anyways, that's for another day. It's this your chance to subscribe to this valuable channel, and comments are welcome, and as usual, we'll see you in the next one.